Here's a comparison between the new 2025 Hyundais. This is the Santa Cruz SEL Activity in Hampton Gray over medium gray and medium gray, and the Tucson limited trim in Phantom Black over black. This year, they have reworked the exterior for the front, giving us more tech, cleaning up the center cluster. Which one's going to be a better choice? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. The Tucson starts with premium LED headlights and daytime runnings that integrate into the reworked grille with the gloss black and the black symbol for the Hyundai badging, front and rear parking sensors with the 360-degree reverse camera. And this year, it looks a little bit more sporty, but you can't option a turbocharge. You only have one engine configuration, which is the 2.5-liter inline four-cylinder, producing 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque paired to an 8-speed Steptronic automatic transmission. Whereas on the Santa Cruz, you can option a turbocharge, or you can option just the 2.5-liter inline four-cylinder base with 191 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque, paired to the same 8-speed Steptronic automatic transmission, but the SEL Activity increases the towing capacity when you go all-wheel drive. Otherwise, the SEL will only be up to 3,500 pounds of towing. So you can option the front-wheel drive, which will get the same towing capacity, or go into the all-wheel drive. The MPGs here is at 22 for the city and 30 for the highway, and the Tucson will be at 25 MPGs for the city, 33 MPGs for the highway. 18-inch wheels is going to be standard on all trims. XRT will change them out to a more off-roadsy style, as well as adding recovery hooks to the front. So I like that they're giving these little tweaks to make it look a little bit more athletic, to do some off-roading capabilities, even though this is not really that truck. It's getting your feet wet with a pickup truck, giving you great MPGs. Or you can go into the Tucson, which will drop the towing to a max at 2,000 pounds. And the wheels start at 17-inch for the SE. SEL and up gets 18-inch wheels, going into the XRT, getting a unique 18-inch wheel. The Limited gets 19-inch wheels, as well as Smart Park feature, which is cool, because if you are stuck in a parking lot because somebody parked too close to you at a grocery store, you can just auto start your car. You don't have to pay any premiums for this. It's part of the Limited package, and you can engage the vehicle to reverse or go forward for you, so you can get out of that parking lot a little bit easier, as well as adding the integrated turn signals that are LED on the side view mirror. They're heated and power folding. Both trims, when you option the crossbars, 220 pounds you could fit on top. LED taillights start on the SEL going into the Tucson, and the lower is going to get the satin aluminum with the reverse parking sensors and the 360-degree reverse camera, because this is the Limited trim. The Santa Cruz, you can only option it with a 4-foot bed. The cool thing, this tonneau cover, you could add 440 pounds on top of it with a payload at over 1,400 pounds. So if you are considering either of the two, you may want to look at the pickup truck, because now you can actually do a little bit more for that everyday and kind of light workload. LED taillights is going to be standard with the arrow that's integrated. Santa Cruz print, and the lower gets the steps to make it easy to go inside for the cargo. And another cool thing is, if you are still between the two, you have extra storage when you go into the Santa Cruz, opposed to this, because you not only can utilize this tonneau cover, there's also a trunk inside the bed, as well as folding the seats up at a 60-40 split. So you can maximize nearly the same amount of storage capacity as the Tucson. So for me, I would probably go to the Santa Cruz, because I'm getting more towing, more performance, because I can also add that turbocharge, which increases torque to 311 pound-feet. And when you're thinking about vehicles in the class for both two of these, whether it's Honda, Toyota, both of them are going to be more expensive, and you're going to have more capabilities going this route for a fraction of the price. Power liftgate going into 38.7 cubic feet of storage. We get a 12-volt LED interior lights. Underneath the floor gets a spare tire, and you have plenty of room around it if you need more storage. And the nice thing about the Tucson, you can split fold the rear bench at that 60-40 split in the back, and that's going to maximize the cargo capacity to 74.8 cubic feet. Whereas on the Santa Cruz, and this is the tonneau cover that I was talking about, that you can put 440 pounds on top. Soft to open, going into 27 cubic feet of storage. A con to me though is it's only a 4-foot bed configuration, a height at 19.2 inches, a width at 53.9 inches, and a length at 48.4 inches. Inside here though, because we have the SEL Activity, you get the home plug. And the nice thing about this vehicle is you have more cargo similar to the Ridgeline, and you can open this up. So if you want to go do any tailgate parties, fill this up with ice, it'll drain right here, so that way you don't have to worry about the water staying inside the vehicle. The key fob for the Santa Cruz. Cloth seat starts us off with manual seat adjustments. The SEL starts with the H-Tech seats, and it goes up, as well as heated front seats and 8-way power seat adjustment for the driver. The passenger, to get the power seat and ventilated front seats, you have to go into the limited trim. Here's where you're going to see the difference. That dashboard, that infotainment screen, and the gauge cluster. Let's fire it up. This is the major improvement, starting off with storage for the passenger. And I like the configuration of this 1-panel, 2-screen configuration. The SEL Activity adds the 12.3 digital gauge reader that can go through an array of different content. Standard is a 4.2, and the center is a 12.3 touchscreen. Navigation starts on the XRT. Put it into reverse, and you get a reverse camera with trajectory. Click on the sub menu here on the top, and you can change out the camera layouts, and you can make the screen a little bit more wide. Dual climate control starts on the SEL, and I like that we still have physical buttons, and 6 speakers is standard. Bose is only going to be on the limited trim. Wireless charging starts on this. USB ports, 12 volt, leather around the shifter. If you want this to be leather, you got to go into the XRT. You want it to be heated, go into the limited multi-function. And they kept the same style more or less here, because if you remember, the heated seat switches would be right here. Open up, and it's a medium-sized storage pocket. You can lift that up, and it's going to be a little bit more firm. A con, they did not add a pass-through or a sleeve for any storage. Headroom is actually good, as well as leg space. It was never bad to begin with. A moonroof, auto-dimming rear view mirror, and the home link is only on the limited trim, as well as ambient lighting. Dashboard and door panel still configuring together, and you get the cloth interior right here. One touch up and down start on the SEL for the front windows. Otherwise, it's just for the driver on the SE. Soft to touch where it needs to be, with about a medium-sized storage pocket. The key fob for the new Tucson, and because it's a limited, we have the Smart Park, which you would lock the door, hold for the auto start. You can tell it started by the turn signal. Those are LED on the side view mirror. Now we can move the vehicle forward and backwards, and you're probably saying, why is this a good feature? Well, if you are in a tight position because somebody parked too close to you, you can now move out or move forward to get in your vehicle a lot more easy. And you don't have to worry about waiting for somebody or scratching your door because somebody's just simply parked too close to you. Now on a con, you have to be around 10 feet to use this. Going inside to 10-way power seat adjustment for the driver and 10-way power seat adjustment for the passenger. Heated, ventilated, only on the limited trim, as well as leather seats and memory seats. H-Tech seats start on the SEL, otherwise cloth, and manual seat adjustment. And the SEL adds the heated seats to the front. Now you can see the refresh right off the bat, starting with storage for the passenger, more or less a full pass-through. Even though it's not carved out here, I like that it's open because you have a lot more space. Let's fire it up. Now the Limited unlocks the Bose sound system. That's the only way you can get it, with the auto-dimming rear view mirror that starts on the SEL Convenience, the large panel moonroof, LED interior lights, a heads-up display only on the Limited trim, as well as this finger recognition button right here on this curved 1-panel 2-screen layout. It's a 12.3 touchscreen with navigation that starts on the SEL Convenience. The XRT will not get the navigation. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is going to be wireless, and you still have physical buttons to scroll through all of your different menu icons. HD radio, dual climate control settings start on the SEL with a new touchpad. Switch it to reverse, and we have a 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear. You have different camera layouts here to make it a little bit more easier for backing up. You also have the 3D view, so you can go all around the vehicle, and the limited trim is the only way you can option this. Put it into drive, and it'll unlock this sub-menu, so you can change different configuration for a car wash view to see on the sides of the vehicle. So I like this because you don't really want to scratch your wheels whenever you're going into a car wash. Now you have that will take care of it, as well as blind spot view monitoring. Use your indicators, and it's going to use those cameras on the side view mirror, and it's going to project on the 12.3 gauge cluster. This is only going to be on the limited trim. The leather wrap steering wheel, heated, is only going to be on the limited trim. Multi-function paddle shifts. The gear lever is now on the steering column, and a 12.3 digital reader is going to be on the SEL Convenience, but it will not be on the XRT. Otherwise, it's a 4.2 display. In order to change the configuration, simply go into setup here, or hit the button, and then you'll go into screen layout, and now you can change the design of the gauge cluster. Wireless charging pad starts on the SEL. Driving mode select. You have a total of 3 driving modes, including My Drive. And the wireless charging pad is cool because it'll show you 3 green arrows that's showing that it's charged. And when it's fully charged, you will know because it indicates. It's going to be more firm, opens up into a deep storage pocket, USB ports, 12 volt. And the nice thing, even though this curved panel is driver focused, it's still passenger focused for the touchpad, even though this is slightly turned, to utilize the charging ports or anything, because it's more opened up. Headroom, not going to be an issue, nor is leg space. And the door and dash configured together nicely. You get the soft materials, one touch up and down for the front windows, soft to touch where it needs to be, with a medium-sized storage pocket. In the back, this is the room that you have to enter. The Santa Cruz, 2 more with cup holders and an armrest, or 3 more with that folded up. USB ports, air vents start on the SEL, storage behind the passenger, and this is the leg space that you have if I'm sitting in the driver's seat. As for headroom, it's good. It's actually carved out for you a little bit right here. Door panel, con to me is you only have 1 cup holder here. They do keep the same segment, so you get the cloth and it's soft to touch with the gloss black, but I would like to see some storage in the lower. Sliding into the center, the floor isn't completely flat. If this seat is pushed back, it's going to make it a little bit more undesirable for somebody that's over 6 foot tall. Headroom, it's not bad because again, it's carved out behind the moonroof, and this sliding rear glass starts on the SEL Activity. This folds up at a 40-60 split, so you have more storage and you get a little tub here as a divider. Going into the back, that's the opening that you have for 2 more or 3 when you fold up the armrest and cup holders, USB ports, air vent storage behind both of the front seats. And you can already tell leg space, it's actually pretty good for the size of this vehicle, as well as headroom, and these seats recline pretty far back. And because you only have cargo behind you, you can just relax on a long journey this way. The door is going to have the same materials found in the front. Limited trim is the only way you can get heated rear seats. I like that the switch is right here too, so it doesn't make it unusable if somebody's sitting into the center. Only a cup holder. It's going to be soft to touch where it needs to be. Let's slide over and see how I look. Feet space is actually good. The rails are pushed up enough. Butt, leg, and shoulder space, the same thing. This is doable. I like what I'm getting. Headroom, because we have a pano, I can actually utilize the center seat, and I would probably tell the person on the side of me to recline it a bit, so that way I can enjoy the drive. The Santa Cruz with 191 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque out of the inline 4-cylinder, and you can option a turbocharge when you go onto this SEL Activity we have, which will give you 281 horsepower with 311 pound-feet of torque, which is crazy because when you're comparing it against the Tucson, you're only getting 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. Let's see what we get. It's motivated enough for an everyday use, and when you're considering around 35 grand all in on this front wheel drive configuration, I'm liking what I'm getting. Plus, the SEL Activity, you can unlock up to 5,000 pounds of towing. You can't do that with the Tucson. So right off the bat, going into pros and cons, the Santa Cruz is going to have more pros and capabilities in daily use. As for interior, I feel like the Tucson is going to be more superior. You have a full pass-through. It's just a little bit more opened up, especially for the back seat, because you can actually utilize 3 to sit in the back. And you still have tons of cargo. Whereas here, the back seat is too tight. Why didn't they reconfigure that to make it a little bit longer and give us like a 5 or 6 foot bed configuration, so this would be an awesome smaller to compact pickup truck? Because anybody that it competes to, you're gonna have a ton of savings and you're gonna have more capabilities here and more power options than even going up into a Honda Ridgeline, in which that vehicle is over 50 grand. You can almost buy this in a base model Tucson for the price of a Ridgeline fully loaded. That's crazy, but let me know your thoughts on that. As for the updates, I'm pleased with the dashboard, the new steering wheel, and the center cluster. I would not go underneath the SEL though, because then you're getting cloth seats. The SEL pretty much gives you all the features you need. If you're not considering the turbocharged variant, I would say go that route and save the dough. The drive is comfortable. It's the same thing. It's more or less a carryover, just styling updates in technology. But it's the updates that it actually needed. So I like that we're going that route, because the car is only 4 years old. So to get these updates, it was already looking a little bit dated with that center cluster and that 8-inch infotainment screen that was just sitting there, as well as that 4.2 digital reader. I think it looks a lot more seamless. The touch to feel is still going to be hard materials found throughout the cabin. But at this price, it's really hard to complain when you're considering anybody that it would compete against. Because at the price you're at, you're getting capabilities of vehicles that are typically $50,000+. The curb weight is just under 4,000 pounds. So when you're thinking about that turbo variant, it's crazy. Optioning this for all-wheel drive, you're gonna lose 1/1 MPG, so it's not a substantial amount of difference. So me personally, I'm leaning more towards the Santa Cruz so far. The updates that they do, I think, has been well needed, and it's more of an everyday practical truck. Let's see how the Tucson goes against it. Now the Tucson, you know, we decreased in horsepower as well as torque. 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. Turn radius is about 2 lanes. We can't rock and roll just yet, but it's not going to be too much of a difference in the drive. The comfort, we got 19-inch wheels, so this is actually good, so that way you can really see the difference. Because when you go to a pickup truck, typically people were concerned about the ride. The ride to that was comfortable at 18 inches. 19-inch wheels, when you're going into the Limited, which is the way it comes, is going to change that configuration a little bit. You can get 18-inch wheels here, as well as 17-inch wheels when you go into the SE. So will it make it more soft, is where we're going at. And the answer is yes. The Tucson is going to be a little bit more of a comfortable ride, more family oriented for the back seat because you have leg room. Headroom is fine in both. So for a more practical vehicle, this is going to be better if you have occupants that's over 6 foot tall that's going to be sitting in the back. Otherwise, you should be fine with the Santa Cruz. You're going to have more storage nooks found throughout because it's an SUV, but you're going to have more storage as well as towing and power going into the Santa Fe. I guess the big question would be, are you looking to get your feet wet with a truck? I would go that route instead of the Ridgeline, which is one of my favorite blends, because it's also smaller, it's not as wide, and it gets the same job done as the Ridgeline for a fraction of the price. Between the two, for me, I would have to actually go to the Tucson, even though I said on the exterior I would go the Santa Cruz, because I have family members that are over 6 foot tall. They're gonna get exhausted sitting in the back. But I'm looking for a third car, which I would take the box for the Santa Cruz. For total value, the Tucson is going to be better because this is just a touch over 40 grand all in. You're already over 35 grand and you're only on the mid trim level for the Santa Cruz. As for Honda, Toyota, they're not going to be able to touch the pricing of these vehicles because you're getting a lot more standard amenities, a better warranty, and I'm sure people in the comments are going to say, well, the engine isn't that good, or if you option the turbocharge in the Santa Cruz, you get that dual wet clutch automatic transmission. It's been in the vehicle for a while, and I'm sure you're gonna have some problems here and there. The only problem that I have with either of these two variants is that they did not increase the performance. But then when I'm looking at the Santa Cruz, it's only 4 years in the making. So to get most of these updates, that's a lot. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Gettle Hyundai of Lakewood for giving us these two 2025 Hyundais, the Santa Cruz versus the Tucson, for our car comparison review.